Hey guys, let's get more news about Miami Heat, but first, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. Jimmy Butler throws shade at Heat after Warriors win Game 7. Jimmy Butler helped the Golden State Warriors engineer a big midseason turnaround, moving from the number 10 seed in the Western Conference in February to now reach the second round of the NBA playoffs. Butler and the Warriors took down the number 2 seed Houston Rockets in Game 7 on Sunday, winning 103-89 behind a strong defensive effort and well-rounded scoring from the starting five. Butler chipped in 20 points, 8 rebounds, and 7 assists as the Warriors advanced to face the Minnesota Timberwolves. But when he was asked about his short tenure with the Warriors, Butler may have still had the messy exit from the Miami Heat on his mind. Butler's tenure with the Heat came to a difficult end, with the team suspending him a series of times, including an incident in January where he reportedly walked out of practice. "It's always good to be wanted and appreciated for your skill set and your talent," Butler said after the win. "Here they welcomed me with open arms and let me be the player that I am, and it fit into what they do so incredibly well." The post-game remarks were similar to comments Butler made shortly after being traded, hinting that the Heat no longer valued him and that he felt unwanted in Miami. "I saw a group that wanted me to be a part of it," Butler said via Anscape. "That's all you ever wanted to be is wanted in this life, not just in this league. In anything, you want to be wanted. Needed is like a necessity. Wanted is like somebody's choosing to bring you aboard this. I think that's the ultimate sign of respect." $18 million forward pinpoints Darius Garland as Cavaliers' weakest link. Darius Garland missed the final 2 games of the Cleveland Cavaliers' first-round playoff win over the Miami Heat. During a recent media availability, Miami forward Kyle Anderson, who has 2 years left on his $18 million deal with Miami, credited Garland's absence for why Cleveland was able to secure a 4-game sweep over Eric Spoelstra's team. "If you want my honest answer," Anderson said. "And I don't mean to throw shots at anybody, they looked like a better team without Garland on the floor. I don't know the numbers or anything. I think it played more to their favor once Garland wasn't on the floor. They were able to dictate the tempo, get more stops on defense, and it was harder for us to score. They had more guys out there on defense. Once we came across that, it got tougher for us." Garland has long been a target for opposing offenses. He's seen as the weak link in the Cavaliers' defensive system. Without him in the rotation, Miami had no one they could try to attack via mismatches or off the dribble. Of course, Garland's comments about Tyler Herro being a target for Cleveland also didn't go down well due to his own shortcomings on that side of the floor. When speaking to the media following the Cavaliers' Game 2 win over Miami on Wednesday, April 23, Garland took a shot at Herro. "Pick on Tyler Herro," Garland said when asked about Cleveland's offensive strategy. "Take care of the ball. Don't play in tight spaces. And pick on their weak defenders." Garland never returned to Cleveland's rotation after those comments. Instead, he watched the final 2 games from the sidelines while wearing street clothes. However, Cavaliers fans will likely be hoping that he's back in the rotation for the team's Eastern Conference semifinal series against the Indiana Pacers. During a recent episode of the Wine and Gold Talk podcast, longtime Cavaliers reporter Chris Fedor shared his concerns regarding Garland's limited impact on defense. "I think there remains to be questions about Darius Garland and his readiness for everything that playoff basketball is," Fedor said. "If we're being honest, Darius has struggled throughout the course of his career. And at times this year, even this year was an all-star caliber season for him, but there were times that he struggled with physicality. The Cavs are ready for it. Kenny Atkinson is ready for it. Darius says he's ready for it. But this is a switch-heavy defense, and teams are going to go pick and roll, and they're going to put Darius in the action over and over and over again. Garland must now prove himself against Indiana. Rick Carlisle's team will undoubtedly test his defensive ability while also throwing physical defenders his way when he's got the ball in his hands. After his comments about Harrow, all eyes will be on Garland's defensive impact moving forward. However, it's clear that Anderson's comments came from a place of genuine belief. Therefore, Garland has a lot to prove throughout the rest of the playoffs, especially if he wants to avoid his name being floated in trade speculation this summer. Miami Heat could face frustrating reality on Giannis' trade front. Rumors are going to link the Miami Heat with every star name that is reportedly available on the trade market. That's what happens when a team crumbles in the opening round of the playoffs. Unfortunately for the Heat, they don't have a large stockpile of tradable assets. In fact, any package they cobble together will likely be subpar compared to other offers around the NBA. It's for that reason that Miami could be in for a frustrating summer. According to John Hollinger of The Athletic, the Heat could be forced to face up to that reality if they get involved in a potential bidding war for Giannis Antetokounmpo, should he become available. The Heat will always come up as a potential destination, but Miami doesn't have the pile of draft picks. On draft night this year, it can trade its first-round pick, 20th overall via the Warriors, plus unprotected firsts in 2030 and 2032, or alluring young players to get its foot in the door on a trade of this magnitude, Hollinger wrote. Instead, the Bucks should be looking to get in the lottery this June as part of any trade, kickstarting things right now. Pat Riley has a way of getting what he wants. Therefore, ruling out the Heat in any potential trade scenario is risky business. However, given the current state of the team's roster, they will undoubtedly struggle when trying to outbid other teams. According to ESPN's Bobby Marks, Riley and the Heat front office may be better suited to pursuing a full rebuild. It's very hard threading the needle, Marks said. They've been a play-in team the last couple of years. Would they ever consider taking a step back, potentially taking the Oklahoma City approach? Maybe you get a core player back and draft picks, and going in that direction, they are going to be where they are a year from now, if there are no changes here. It may have to be taking a step back instead of going star chasing. If the Heat decides to rebuild, it would likely need to find homes for Tyler Herro and Bam Adebayo. Not because they aren't good enough, but because they're the two players who could generate significant returns in any potential deal. If the Heat does look to move on from Adebayo, they can likely rule out the Los Angeles Lakers as a potential trade partner. During a recent episode of the Buha's Block podcast with The Athletic's Jovan Buha, the Lakers insider shared his thoughts on why Adebayo is unlikely to be a target. I think he'd be good next to Luka because they're both all-star, all-NBA guys. They're both smart and they can make it work, Buha said. I think Bam is not enough of a lob threat for what the Lakers would want. Defensively, he'd be great because he's a great defender, but I don't know if they could get him. From a trade perspective, I don't really see LA having enough to offer Miami. With very few trade chips and a genuinely disjointed roster, perhaps now is the time for Riley to accept a rebuild. After all, if the front office spends all summer chasing a star addition only to strike out, next season will be even tougher than the one that just ended in a sweep. And you, fan? What do you think about Antetokounmpo's situation? Write to us in the comments.